Thank you to our partners, retailers, and OEMs. You've shown incredible perseverance through such difficult times.
We're the Straight Pipes on YouTube with over 1 million subscribers.
And this is Think Auto 2020. 15th anniversary with launch control. We're the Straight Pipes based out of Toronto, Canada. We just hit 1 million subscribers and we've done over 400 car reviews. So rev up that engine and let's kick off Google's Think Auto for its 15th anniversary, the longest running Think event globally. Go, go, go!
Yeah.
Welcome to Think Auto 2020. It's our first ever Think Auto that's done virtually, and it's our 15th anniversary. This has been a truly unique year, and one thing is certain, there will be no returning to what was. We have all, for the first time in our lives, learned to live and adapt to a world where dealerships and retailers were closed. Many of us have had to work from home and still are. And we also changed how we shopped, ate, and lived and entertained ourselves. Everything has changed. Or has it? You see, through COVID, you asked challenging questions, and from different sources, I'm sure you received very different answers. You wanted to know things like what was happening in other markets like Italy or China or Ontario versus BC. You asked, do I need to create a contactless delivery process for my dealers, or will dealer groups or individual dealers figure this out themselves? You may have felt that auto sales will never recover, while our query data told us something completely different. We knew that query volume showed that customer purchases were just being put on hold, and in July, auto sales recovered faster than ever, leading to inventory shortages and so many questions on what the right incentive would be for you to bring to market. It certainly wasn't easy for you to navigate through so much advice and so many recommendations that you received. But you know what? Our SAR declined by 75% in April, while the US only experienced a decline of 30%. We were truly in a unique moment. Many of you chose to stop or slow your marketing down, and some of you cut your budgets considerably, while some of you, learning from the challenges of the past, doubled down to win the hearts and minds of your customers. Those of you who did have enjoyed many market share gains. You see, COVID stripped away customer demand down to its simplest form. I need a vehicle now, or I can wait. And what OEMs, dealer groups, and dealers alike recognized is that you have a wealth of past first-party data. This first-party customer data is extremely helpful in difficult times, but when the world is drastically changing, the past isn't always the best reflection of the future. And so many of you learned to lean on Google because Google is the database of intentions. And we were able to see in real time what customers wanted and whether they were willing to wait or take longer in their shopping process. Like all of you know, people just don't lie to Google. They type in exactly what they want and what they're interested in, and this has been a source of critical insights and global perspective when it was needed most. Let's take a look at what our search data actually revealed. SUV searches have led the recovery among segments, while electric is still lagging behind. We do know that we are in a buyer's market, and we continue to be, as customer searches for deals have driven the strongest recovery for auto searches. Now, to understand the macro environmental changes, let's reflect on the ACEs: autonomous, connectivity, electrification, and shared mobility. But these ACEs alone don't explicitly provide a complete picture, because COVID revealed that it is critical to understand the changes in one, customer trends, and two, the need for simplification. The acronym ACES is now Access. Let's start looking at autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles and delivery continue to drive technological advancements as COVID has only emphasized the dealer's desire and customer desire for autonomous delivery of goods and services. In 2020, we have seen a further $7 billion worth of investments made towards autonomous vehicles. Now, in terms of EVs, fuel price declines provided a short wave of EV interest decline. The long-term importance of EVs, however, has not changed. Legislation and government incentives for pro-clean technologies and EVs are being pushed across the world. And in the short term, the COVID crisis hit us hard on EVs, knocking down interest by about 50%. But they've recovered, and it's only down 20% now. And a little bit slower than other categories, but making a quick recovery. COVID is impacting overall sales, and EVs will not be immune, but all OEMs corporately continue to invest towards a clean battery-operated future. Consumer perception and shared personal mobility has changed and was severely impacted by COVID. You see, consumers are finding comfort in their own cars as we see a rise in drive-ins, local road trips, and the general discomfort with public transportation. The pandemic hit the shared mobility category hard, with sharp declines in usage as consumers went into lockdown. While still early, in Canada, ride-sharing engagement has started to recover, rising by 65% since April lows, as consumers are starting to get comfortable with this new normal. From a connected car perspective, this year more than any other cemented in consumers' mindsets the need for connectivity. And as you guys can see, with a lot of our telcos, the rollout of 5G across Canada this year will have a rapid shift to the truly connected car future. These expectations are coming to Auto with interest in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, setting new levels 23% higher than pre-COVID. The next battleground of differentiation for OEMs will be connectivity and personalization of your vehicles. This industry is already valued at $15 billion and in developed countries and expected to grow to $27 billion by 2027. So although these have been incredibly challenging times, the results over the past few months speak to the resilience and perseverance of our industry. We have so much to share with you today, but we wanted to leave you with two things to consider, and this is a reminder that automation, connectivity, electrification, and shared mobility continue to move automotive across the tipping point of digital change in our industry. But COVID has impacted this industry, and the underlying need for personal transportation has remained and even grown. But what's changed is the consumer's expectations around their purchase, how they buy, and the need for simplification. It's going to be a big topic that we're covering today. Hope you enjoy Think Auto 2020.
This is Brian Benstock of Paragon Honda and Paragon Acura in Queens, New York. And I want to congratulate Google Canada for 15 years of Think Auto. And it's just an amazing event, and it's grown into one of the largest global events for Google. And I am pleased and proud to be a part of this event with you. Congratulations, Google. Never forget that what you do is incredibly important. You are helping to bring automotive retail from the dark ages to the future. And I'm really excited to be a tiny part of your trip. Thank you.
So ACES is now Access, with consumers and their expectations being a new addition to a more simplified consumer buying journey. Just wanted to say that out loud again. I look forward to Think Auto every year, and this year, even given the circumstances, is no different. In this next section, what I want to do is really focus on what has been the foundation of this event for the past 15 years, and that is the research. As we progress through this pandemic, we are seeing challenges as well as the rewards of a different world. Consumers are making everyday decisions about how they want to live and really how they want to optimize to this new normal. There are many perspectives and theories on what the aftermath of this crisis will mean for our industry, characterized by a high level of uncertainty and constant change in consumer behavior. This year, we partnered with Kantar and reached out to 3,000 Canadian car buyers, all of which are representative of the Canadian population, all of which have purchased a vehicle in the past 6 months. Now, while it's still early days in really determining what this new normal will look like, what we have seen in our research this year is a stronger likelihood that today's automotive buyer is looking to own a vehicle today versus a pre-COVID period, with 42% of buyers showcasing increased intent in owning a vehicle, as purchasers are looking at personal cars as an important element in keeping both themselves and their families safe. Along with safety, there's also an increased expectation around a more convenient and simplified buying experience throughout the entire journey. This means a mix of at-home test drives, online purchase options, video meetings, and more online content for comparison type shopping. With safety and convenience top of mind, today's car buyer has also emerged with an increased expectation around incentives and finding a deal. We have seen an unprecedented 41% growth in "Am I getting a deal?" type related searches versus the same period last year. Now, we have seen that purchase activity during the height of this pandemic has slowed down. However, key phases of the journey have not. 58% of intenders were more likely to look for more information with increased time at hand. Today, we've seen that 35% of all buyers are looking to expedite their purchase, with 16% of these buyers being new, who weren't thinking of buying a car to begin with. With our research this year showing us that 29% of all buyers are more likely to consider buying their next car online. This is most prevalent with millennials, with 40% of millennials being very certain about buying their next vehicle through online channels. And it's not just a purchase transaction that buyers are looking to be online. Today's auto consumer is more open to a fully online journey than ever before. And what we saw is that some of what we call the fundamentals continue to be consistent even today. Buyers are still moving through the same journey logic as thinking, researching, and ready to buy. However, as we dug deeper into the elements that drive the consumer along this journey, we found evidence that no one journey is the same. We see that beyond dealer and OEM interaction, search and YouTube continue to be the key elements that enable inspiration, discovery, and comparison for purchasers at the onset of their journey. This year, 72% of those who watched an online video completed at least one follow-up action. This is 24% higher than the same figure we saw in our study last year. In this year's research, we've actually seen an acceleration between researching and buying, with 57% of buyers spending less than 1 month between the time they first started researching and actually purchasing a vehicle. As buyers are more reliant on online sources of information than ever before, Google search and online video continue to lead as key resources to inform or influence their purchase at any stage. 90% of car buyers relied on online research across 6 different online touchpoints, with Google search and online video being the top sources. Now, the challenge for all of us is how do we embrace new strategies to meet new and changing consumer expectations and enter the consideration set for our buyers. How active you decide to be across all these drivers is what ultimately creates your customers' buying experience. That's it from us on the research today, but as you all know from experience, we've really just scratched the surface in terms of what research is available. I'd encourage you to reach out to your account teams for a better understanding of what impact points are most critical for your brand today.
Hi everyone, this is Tanis McKenna with Google's Global Automotive Team. Just want to say congratulations on 15 years of Think Auto Canada. Really excited to see what you all do with the next 15. Cheers!
As we enter another month of the global pandemic, and with economies now open across Canada, we want to share with you today some lessons we've learned from past events to help adapt marketing strategies to respond in real time. One such lesson is this: brands that keep consumer connection through times of uncertainty win in the long run. Although the natural inclination for marketers is to cut back on ad budgets during a downturn, we're actually seeing brands take this opportunity to rethink and reset how they're planning their brand dollars. We've heard similar thinking from many brands on how vital it is during this time to build engagement, but ultimately it's about prioritizing media that follows user demands and that delivers measurable results. A great local example is one from Mercedes Canada, who continued to leverage the full power of YouTube all throughout this year and saw 50% more efficient leads versus other digital platforms. Another lesson to learn from in 2020 is that consumer behaviors have rapidly accelerated, and the future is coming at us faster than before. We saw that almost half of Canadian consumers tried a brand new shopping or delivery service for the first time earlier this year. We've seen a dramatic rise in media consumption, and we're seeing all of these shifts on our platforms as well. In March, over 10 million Canadians watching on their TV screens, and momentum continues to grow. Nowhere is this acceleration more apparent than the car buying journey. Researching for a car online did not stop during the last couple of months and is showing no signs of slowing down. As you heard, car buyers are now relying even more heavily on online touchpoints, with YouTube playing such an important role in the car buying journey that it ranks even higher than the OEM and dealer sites. And video plays a role all throughout the journey, whether that be the beginning, where 1 in 3 auto buyers say that YouTube helped to change or reinforce brand perception, or closer to the end, where we saw 1 in 3 were influenced by YouTube to make a purchase. So with over 60% of purchases being made using online video, it is crucial to recalibrate your media spend based on your consumers' new and accelerated online behaviors. Today we have an incredible partner who will be sharing their story with us. Frederico and his team at FCA Brazil quickly pivoted their marketing strategy and continued to build connections with their consumer versus going dark. By building agile plans and budgets and following the user demands, FCA has been one of the only OEMs in Brazil to have gained market share during this time of uncertainty, and this strategy can easily be scaled to the Canadian market. Let's hear more from Frederico.
Hi everyone, my name is Frederico Battaglia, and I'm very happy to be here with you to talk on Think event in Canada. As far as I understood, it's the longest lasting Think event in the world, 15 years, so congratulations for that. I'm the marketing responsible for FCA in LATAM. FCA is the market leader. In LATAM, it's about 3 million cars a year, and we are market leaders with around 15% in LATAM market share. What I wanted to talk to you about this in this event is how we try and manage the unprecedented crisis we faced during 2020, and Google has been a super partner, and it was amazing to be working with them during the most challenging periods of the crisis. We are coming back to pre-crisis volumes, and I want to talk to you about some of the decisions we took to explain how we managed to be here today. The main objective of a guy in my role is to generate business to the dealership. As you might be aware, we had basically all of our dealership closed during the months of late March, April and May. We started to reopening some of them, and actually during the month of April we sold 0 cars and parts. We went to work a little bit closer and even more profound relationship with our colleagues of Google in Brazil. And the first thing we did was to create a group called Anthropos. This was a group that we created together with Google and the main agencies working for Jeep and Fiat brands in Brazil, so we could try to use our crystal ball and foresee a little bit of the future and the customer behavior we could expect from such an incredible and terrible moment we were going through. We focused everything we had in digital, mostly search and also a little bit of display. And because we couldn't have any showroom traffic, what we did was to pump our lead generation strategies. What we did actually during this period was to multiply by 2 the number of leads we could generate, even though there was a big crisis going on. The second thing we did was to get a very close follow-up with dealership to give more stimulus to them to treat those leads properly. Before the crisis, so you have an idea, we had about 50% of the leads we generated sent to the dealership that was not treated at all, or they had a late treatment. After this crisis, basically from 85 to 95%, depending on the brand and the region, of the leads have been treated, and the digital sales percentage went from 10 to 15%, depending on the brand, to almost 50%. And what we did was we sent them a card, a prepaid card, so they could use this card to pay the installments during the year 2020. And during this period, this digital campaign was focused on generating leads. But of course, to generate leads, that's the last bit of the funnel, let's say. You need to have a very strong campaign full funnel, right? So you can bring new people in using YouTube and display and all the channels that we have in digital. So we can bring the customers down the funnel. So then at one point they will be ready to fulfill a form and generate new leads. Another challenge we had during this period was we had a very, very important launch. So Strada was in the past the best-selling car of the whole Brazilian market. So it was a renewal of a very important model after 10 years. And we couldn't do anything as we were used to doing before. So what we did was we went to the factory in FCA were to sent to this studio we assembled within the factory, and then we launched it in YouTube. It was a live event transmitted by YouTube. The result of the live was we had overall around 80,000 people watching it, 7,000 to 8,000 people. It was an amazing experience. For me personally, if I had to choose in the future, I would never launch a product with a different formula, because this is really an amazing result in terms of how many people you can talk with and how effective it can be, how much control you have around an event like that. So it's a kind of a, double win. You reach more people launching a car in an online event, but you can also produce that content and use it afterwards in your YouTube channel and as also display content that you can send to people wanting to buy a new Strada. Fiat, before all that, was the market leader already with about 18. Today, we closed last month, we closed August with 24% of market share. Part of the success, to be honest with you, is the new launch of Strada, of course. So Fiat is doing very well, but even though Jeep had no new launches at all during this period, we gained also 1 point in market share. We went from 5% to 6% market share during this period. So in closing, I think I have 3 messages for you guys. First of all, is actually using Google not as a media partner, but a strategic partner. Working with you to get insights about the consumers is super important. The second thing I think it was a winner was not to, turn the lights off. It was really important to keep the digital strategy on. So search and at some points a full funnel strategy was a winner. We've been discussing a lot in Brazil the role of each media, and in Brazil TV is still a very important media and is used by all categories to build awareness, but we strongly believe that digital can build awareness as well. So an advice, use digital for awareness as well. So if I may suggest you guys, so I'd like to thank you, Google, for the opportunity to be here with you guys and share my experience. Thank you, bye-bye.
As you saw from those fantastic results, the team revisited their media investment and pivoted their campaigns to mirror user demands and invest in platforms that drove results. Part of their success was to throw out the typical launch playbook and turn to YouTube to efficiently reach the billions who engage on the platform. YouTube, which is the #1 video platform with 94% reach across Canadians, has been the platform of choice for many brands to launch their hottest, newest products. In an MMM meta-analysis we commissioned with Nielsen, we see that on average across all industries in Canada, YouTube investment should be increased by 92% from their current levels to reach the optimal ROI. Of all the services used worldwide, YouTube was by far the most common, with 78% of survey respondents citing YouTube as the last source they watched a video. Very impressive, especially considering second place had 45% of survey respondents selecting subscription video on demand. That's over a 30% difference between YouTube and any other video platform, both traditional and digital. This is a challenging time for all of us, and embracing organizational agility will help us weather this pandemic and emerge stronger in the future. As a next step, our Google team will be in touch with you about the best way to stay connected to consumers and how YouTube can help you enable these connections. This is what the Straight Pipes had to say about the engagement they've seen on YouTube recently.
In a recent video, we asked our subscribers to share with us any cars that they've bought thanks to our reviews. In one day, we got over 500 people sending us photos of cars they've bought.
And with the current times where people can't visit dealerships as easily, people have been using our videos as a sort of virtual test drive.
Our numbers are the highest they've ever been for views right now. We have over 11.2 million views per month.
Hey Google, congratulations on 15 years of the Think Auto conference. With data more important now than it's ever been, it's extremely appreciated and we look forward to many more.
I am still a change optimist, and I've been talking for years about the change that was expected to come in the industry and how those changes might impact dealers, looking at things like digital, e-commerce like car buying, subscription services, shared mobility, and electrification, all as potential areas for change. But when change came, it came in a different form, in the form of a global pandemic. And that sent us all home to live our lives behind laptops and mobile phone cameras. And as an industry, in automotive, we weren't ready. We had the technology, it existed, we just didn't use it very much. And although we've pivoted nicely to using digital tools, the important questions we should be asking ourselves now are, where do we go from here? Are we ready to address consumer need for convenience? Especially since they've strengthened their digital muscles, with a life led more online from the comfort of their home. And in the spirit of change, we asked some different questions. While last year we asked how people contacted a dealership for the first time, 53% said they just walked in, not giving you any advance notice. This year we asked the more open-ended, which of the following ways did you contact a dealership overall? And that walk-in number jumped to 73%. Which I think lines up better with the feedback we've had from dealerships. But it is also much more problematic in a COVID-19 lockdown and post-lockdown world. While we're waiting for a vaccine, people are more hesitant than ever to visit any destination if they don't need to, including a dealership. There's been a lot of questions over the last few years around how many dealership visits consumers make during the buying journey. Well-published US numbers have said it's less than 2, and our previous Canadian research said it was, on average, more like 3. But if we look at the data a bit differently, a new pattern emerges. Although those averages were correct, most people, 72% of them in fact, only make one dealership visit. Cue up the Eminem You Only Get One Shot soundtrack here, because you've only got one chance to sell that car. Our Global Auto Pulse research indicated that digital tools were considered more than a reasonable substitute for an in real-life dealership visit. 63% considered pickup and delivery options for sale and test drive an essential part of the remote buying experience, while 46% considered vehicle review videos to be the most important digital alternative to a dealership visit. Yet, only a handful of Canadian dealers actually managed to update their YouTube channels. It's no surprise that COVID-19 accelerated the need to have better digital tools for dealers to engage with their customers while visiting a dealership wasn't an option. However, while many stores tested out those digital retail tools, they've begun to question their usefulness once lockdown restrictions were lifted. Consumer demand for digital purchase options is still high. During COVID lockdown, 74% of Canadian auto intenders said they would use an online purchase option if it existed. And although that number came down to 59% post-lockdown, that's still higher than last year and still accounts for more than half of the vehicle buying population. Only 3% of the general population bought a vehicle through a website or app, but that number doubles for Gen Z. We're still talking about the miracle of small numbers here. And even anticipate a near future where vehicles are purchased through newly established online-only dealerships. Is your digital house in order? Or more correctly, are you ready to facilitate contactless vehicle sales using digital tools? Are you promoting this effectively? How can Google help? Well, first, we've published the Dealer Guidebook 2.0 that has a clear set of checklists to ensure you're doing the best possible job digitally and that you're gaining your fair share of search, video, and display. There are some new ad formats for lead generation, for driving more phone calls, and for increased foot traffic when and where that's possible. You need to figure out YouTube. If people are looking for those review videos, you need to build YouTube into your store processes. make sure your Google My Business profile is up to date. Many folk forgot to do that before they locked down back in the early days of COVID-19. Make sure your hours are up to date. Make sure you're publishing regularly. We've got a full guidebook on how to keep your Google My Business profile shipshape and up to date. Get your phone call processes in order. Make sure you're tracking that properly. So if you're looking for information on any of these topics, make sure to reach out to your Google account team, and we'll make sure you get the information you need. And we're also going to be delivering more dealer-specific insights and content with Think Dealer 2020. Expect to hear more about that later this fall. Thank you.
Now more than ever, people are using digital. They're at home, they have home offices. Are they really working, or are they surfing Google? Congratulations on your 15-year anniversary.
Did you know it takes an average of 66 days for a behavior to become automatic? Think about that, and think about how your behaviors have changed in the last 60 to 90 days. The COVID pandemic is really a launching pad for great companies to lean into these new behaviors. Like our consumers, to become more virtual, more digitally centric, and most important, more agile. Consumer expectations have risen, and they've specifically risen around convenience and safety. They expect companies to know them, to be thoughtful, and to provide them with options for shopping and purchasing. And they want these options on their agenda, not on our agenda. And how do we find the more digitally savvy consumer? Well, it's all about data. And frankly, it's all about connecting our data. It's a massive asset, and it's still largely under-leveraged in auto. And as the world goes digital, so must auto. It allows us to be more personal, and it allows us to be more thoughtful as the consumer goes through the journey. It allows auto to provide a better consumer experience. It also allows us to better measure the investment that's being made in marketing, deploying resources where they are most effective for your goals. Now, this task can seem difficult. Connecting data can be daunting, but don't be afraid of it. In fact, be afraid of not connecting your data. Your consumer is expecting it. They're expecting you to know who they are, where they are, and what's important to them. It allows us to ask better questions, to reward curiosity, and to test and learn, and then test and learn again.
Hello, and thank you, Amy. So consumers are going digital, data is more important than ever. Well, I'm sure you're asking, what is my data strategy, and how do I leverage this asset for more efficiency and effectiveness in my advertising? The answer is to focus on what matters most, your customers. But how do I build customers into my data strategy? Let's first look at the breakdown of a customer journey. You can see here 3 distinct and disconnected experiences where we collect separate data sets about the customer. This fragmentation is further complicated when we think about separate OEM and dealer websites. But we can solve this. From our advertising platforms like YouTube and Google Search, to your websites, into the dealership and onto the roads, the technology exists for us to blend data between your systems and ours so that you can leverage each data point in the customer journey in a privacy-safe and secure way. I'll break this challenge down into 3 areas of focus. Number 1, we need to unify a single view of the customer across the automotive website tiers. Number 2, with a clear view of the customer, we can predict the outcomes that matter to your business. And number 3, we can leverage these predictions and advanced customer segments in your acquisition and retention strategies. So digging in on number 1, unifying a single view of the customer across tiers. The problem here is that if a potential customer begins their journey researching an OEM website and then hops over to a dealer website to find a location or book a test drive, each interaction treats that same customer as a different person, and our customer-focused data strategy falls apart. But we can fix this with a small update to each of your website's Google Analytics tracking code. We've seen FCA in the US take this approach. Their goal was to unify customer data together into a single Google Analytics account, and they are already benefiting with more effective advertising. So number 2, predicting the outcomes that matter. Let's be honest, build and price, find a dealer, search inventory, these are not the business outcomes we're after. Rather, what we all really care about is selling cars. But that doesn't mean that these website conversions don't matter.
They are incredibly valuable and they matter deeply, but we should think about using them differently. At the core of these website conversions is customers. Customers watch, customers click, customers build and price, and customers drive. So I shouldn't be as interested in how many clicks I got or how many build and prices happened, but rather how many potential customers did my advertising generate today and how many sales is that likely to yield tomorrow. Website conversions help us predict the likelihood of a customer buying a car, and that is a business outcome that we should chase. But we can't build that prediction unless we know who actually becomes a customer. And this represents the last stage in a connected consumer journey. There are many ways in which to link website analytics to your CRM or lead management software, and we can help. The easiest way is to add some code to an email that you send each of your new customers. When that customer arrives back at your website, we can link their pre-sale activity to an end sale, and the consumer journey is complete. Now, the holistic body of interactions and signals these customers have produced along the way can help us build a model that predicts the sales outcomes of other would-be buyers. Bringing us to number 3, leveraging prediction capabilities in our advertising. Doing so allows us to provide a unique and personalized journey for each customer at the various stages of the buying cycle. We've recently seen Toyota Canada build a propensity model that predicts the likelihood of a potential customer to become a lead. This prediction allowed them to group users into audiences for those that were likely to convert and those that were less likely to convert. When they deployed these audiences to their marketing campaigns, they saw a conversion rate 6 times higher than their baseline and reduced their CPA by 80%. An incredible first step in the pivot to customer-centric data and business outcome prediction. So do you have a unified view of the customer? Can you predict the outcomes that matter to your business? Are you ready to deploy customer-focused strategies in your advertising? In other words, are you ready to put your data to work for you? We at Google are here to help at each stage along the way as you continue to adapt to the changing needs of the customer. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Think Auto. Big congratulations for 15 years. Thanks for all the learnings and the support over the years. And here's to another 15.
Hi everyone, I'm Claudia Siama. I am the Managing Director for Automotive and Consumer Brands Industries in Google Canada. As a Brazilian living in Canada over the last 2 years, I can say that I'm very proud and fortunate to be here. And there are 2 main reasons why I feel Canada is an amazing place for continued automotive investment. Automotive companies are rapidly becoming tech and data companies, and Canada has the fastest growing tech ecosystem and houses the 3rd largest tech sector in North America. We are home to over 18,000 tech companies. Other reason is diversity and inclusion that drives innovative thinking and collaboration. Canada is a global leader in fostering diverse thinking and ensuring our home is safe and inclusive for everyone. Toronto is the most diverse city in the world. We have 1 million immigrants in Canada every 3 years. 38% of Canada's tech workforce are immigrants. That's why Canada is the best place to be right now and an ideal country to invest in the future of automotive technology and the best market to test and learn and share back with your headquarters. Google loves it, and Google Canada is seen globally as the tip of the spear. Well, we all heard a few messages today, and I would love you to leave here with 3 main takeaways that will help you to be prepared for tomorrow. First is access. Consumers and their desire for simplified buying process. We heard from George, the new normal mindset of consumers, and we heard from Matt Grolding talk about the expectations of dealers in the coming times. Let's ensure that everything we embrace as an industry meets the expectations of these new consumers. That brings me to my second main takeaway, that is data and measurement. As OEMs and dealers, we have a variety of past data, first-party customer data, and sales history. Just combining that with the real-time insights and past behavior data that Google brings to the table can open up avenues for ensuring a thoughtful experience to our consumers. All at the same time, being able to experiment your learnings in real time can be a differentiating edge in how you manage your resources in media in today's time. Last but not least, keep your lights on. Today, we heard from Frederico from FCA Brazil talk about how they adapted and adopted new ways but did not stop talking to their consumers. And FCA bounced back strongest in a very competitive market. Well, those are the 3 takeaways. Thank you to our partners, retailers, and OEMs. It is amazing to see your incredible resilience through such difficult times. I'm quite confident Google can continue supporting you through this journey, mainly helping you on your business challenges. Please rely on your Google team to build a strong partnership for 2021. We have the teams and we are in the right market to make it happen together. Please be sure to check out our detailed videos that we'll be sharing in the follow-up emails to all of you. Thank you very much and please stay safe.